Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Global WFM organization, for giving this opportunity to have me here today. And as Partho just said, I work with Wipro Technologies, and I'm in the IT services industry for 23 years above, and with Wipro for leading the learning and development of business unit for about 10 years. So primarily, we work towards the entire workforce development initiatives, right from when they join us fresh from campus, or even the senior leadership development programs and managerial programs. So that is what I look forward to, and happy to have me here today. Thank you. Over to you, Prajit.
So a very good afternoon to all of you, and I hope all of you are safe and sound wherever you are as well. Excited to be here, excited to learn from my fellow panelists today in the conversation we are planning to have over the next hour. And I take care of organization and talent development in Flipkart, as Partho mentioned, which includes everything around performance, talent development, people analytics, inclusion, diversity, as well as leadership and learning and development. And my background is in instructional design and organization development, which makes this one of my most favorite roles I've played in my career. Excited to be here. I think one of the key things for me, if I can summarize in one sentence, is your mind is like a parachute. It functions only when open, and learning plays a big part of that. So that's a very quick introduction from me. Over to you, Banu, for yours.
Thank you, Prajakta and Rishikesh and Team Global Workforce Management, Parthada. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having us today. This is definitely a very important area to focus, especially as the organizations embrace new business in this pandemic. So focusing on workforce management as well as bringing in newer practices in the digital world is going to be key. I have been in the industry for over 27 years now, in training, transition, and primarily my core competencies lie around service delivery, being a global service delivery leader. Currently, for the last couple of years, I'm focused on driving contract management, which is in a sense driving governance, compliance, risk assessment, preventing business risk, financial risks, and all of that. My obsession with training is very natural. I've been a trainer early formative years of my career. I also had an NGO called EWIT, which is Empowering Women in IT, as the current president, and been collaborating with NASSCOM in driving a lot of initiatives for upskilling, reskilling women, especially bringing them back from sabbatical to mainstream work practices and ensuring they're actually employed by getting relevant skills. In Sutherland, and we will talk about it when my turn comes, is how we leverage the newer digital skills and why is it so important to do it. So I look forward to a very exciting session today, and nice meeting all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanu. My heartfelt good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the entire WFM fraternity who has logged in onto this event, right? And also thanks to Partho and Shiva for bringing the entire fraternity onto this particular platform where we are leveraging this platform to exchange great ideas, great experiences. Myself, Nirmalya Sena, a learner, a WFM practitioner, having around 16 years of WFM experience with Concentrix. Thank you, Rishikesh, Prajakta, and Bhanu for setting the context, and also Shiraj as well. And I am looking forward for a very, very learnful session. Over to you, Shiraj.
Thanks, Nirmalya. I said Rishikesh, Praj, and Bhanu for setting the context. And thanks, Siva, Parthoda, for giving us this opportunity. I've attended many sessions in the past as well, but it's trust me, this is one forum which I always look up to for the kind of learning that we have. We share so many ideas, so many learnings from each other. And talking about me, I currently work as a senior director, workforce management, special projects and planning for Omega Healthcare. I work with companies like IBM, Cytel, Tata Sky, Airtel in the past, and throughout been working with workforce management. And for the last couple of years, I was heading the operations as well at Omega Healthcare, and yeah, it's always it's been so far a very fascinating journey. And WFM, as I'm always passionate about, people most of the times ask me why WFM. I said, did you choose WFM? No, I think WFM chose me. So I've been heading functions like business intelligence, planning, forecasting, scheduling, reporting, MIS. So I think I've got a complete 360-degree view of the business, and looking forward for a great, learning today. Thank you.
Sure. I can get us started, and then would love to hear what my fellow panelists. So when I think about workforce management and L&D, we actually started delving deeper into this topic around competencies, performance, around how Flipkart would look like over the next few years, and we created a North Star, which was a 3-year strategy as well. So let me leverage one aspect of the research that we tapped into to help you maybe help share my point of view on this. So from an industry trend perspective, they're evolving around 3 pillars. And this is, I'm just quoting Deloitte research to help me make my point here. And the impact that I see in the industry, which I am part of, which is e-commerce. One is workforce, second is workplace, and third is work itself. So from a workforce perspective, I see most of my population being millennials, which is the majority of my workforce today. We are starting to see more and more Gen Zs coming into our workforce as well. And this means that as an organization, a stronger focus on communicating our purpose, well-articulated PDP, a highly inclusive culture, clear career paths, not just within, but also across functions, as well as seamlessly integrated L&D that helps them develop the mindset, capabilities and skills they need to grow. If I talk about workplace, this has probably seen the most disruption in the last year and a half with the pandemic raging across the world and forcing us into work from home scenarios. And as the world in parts kind of starts to come back to some form of normalcy, most technology organizations like ours are opting to either go for hybrid or a permanent work from home that also has a large impact, including on learning as well as how our organization works. Whether it is people, how they build trust, how they collaborate, how they achieve objectives, how they manage work-life integration for themselves, all of that is part of the second pillar. The third one, if I can call out, which is work. As all of us know, this itself is leapfrogging with the technology advancements around us, right? And every construct, process that we've built in the past, the assumptions we use to build those are getting questioned now. Whether it is around attracting, engaging, developing our talent, as well as the kind of skills and capabilities they need to constantly, upgrade themselves and succeed, right, in the workforce as well. So when you look at the organization through this lens, now I think the role of L&D also starts becoming clearer. It's strategic, it's long-term, and it's outcome focused. So to give you an example, right as we speak right now, we have a core team with members from L&D, talent development, performance development, talent acquisition, as well as HR business partners, along with a few key leaders working together to implement an internal talent marketplace for us. And this is also built on the 70-20-10 learning framework that we leverage to help our employees link their aspirations to capabilities and skills they need to build, right? And the way we use the internal talent marketplace to enable that is through mentors, short-term projects, learning opportunities. And if I pause here without talking too much in detail around this, the outcomes, if you can imagine, that we can drive for our business through this are enormous. Whether it is in the form of savings, because we're constantly upskilling our workforce, right, to make sure they have the right skills, the right times, whether it is in terms of having a multi-skilled workforce that can take on different roles, right? So there are a huge number of opportunities that are hidden within some of the things that we are doing today to set us up for the long term. And again, my view based on what we are doing today at Flipkart, right? So hopefully that answers a little bit of the questions that you had, Parthuda. And for me, it's a fantastic combination. for these two to come together and work.
Nirmal, your views on this?
Yeah, so I think Praj has hit that absolutely onto the bullseye, right? I will take a step back, right? And I will say that what is the end objective of this coming L&D and to leverage some of this and to come up with a very collaborative and a calibrated approach, right? And the last session I was hearing Sridhar, and I agree more than 100% with him. One of my mentor told that unless and until you are able to devise your workforce strategies and your workforce learning to gain onto the end customer experience, right? Then only you are a very successful workforce professional. And and over a period of time, that has been onto the back of the backdrop that workforce strategy competencies should be aligned to make an end customer impact. And from there on, right, the journey, right, because over a period of time, around 15 years, the workforce management has raised on exponentially onto the level of maturity and the level of learnings, right? Maybe 10 years back, forecasting, a simple average method, moving average method, but very, I think, softer subjects. But today, if you see, definitely forecasting is one of the methods. There are a lot of getting arranged as well, right? They are getting added on. So new innovative methods of scheduling. What are these methods? It is methods which are devised to improve the end customer experience, right? So the entire learning strategy, keeping the goal of an end customer experience, and we partner in terms of how we devise the entire learning framework to get the end customer experience much better, right? I will not go on to the competency training of a workforce, right? I will not, because competency trainings are available, right? The forecasting, right? You will have n number of training materials available. There are online platforms available to impart those trainings. But to devise a training which is aligned with the end customer experience, what it matters, right? There's a bit that, and what I firmly believe, that the end customer experience onto devising a learning strategy depends upon 3 C's. That is your how well you collaborate, how well you calibrate, and how well you connect across all your stakeholders and devise the strategy. So the entire session, I think, right, and what Raj told us, that the strategy should be laid into such a way so that the end objective, because we have to leverage the L&D in order to get us onto those learning platform which will help us to achieve the end customer experience, to better the end customer experience. The workforce to be leveraging around L&D to devise a learning strategy to enhance the end customer experience. That is my thought process.
Thank you, Nirmal. Manu, I've come to you now to ask you. Now, with business continuity and resilience, which is the new normal, how have you implemented an effective WFP approach to address these?
Sure, Partho. So I'll give you a business perspective because I'm not a workforce management professional. I come from a solid delivery background and that's all I know. So let's look at the top 3 business challenges today, especially given the work at home environment that we all are operating currently in, right? So we have lost the human touch with our teams. We don't have a supervisory intervention real time today when our frontline people need that. We have lost the mentoring and the water cooler conversations and finding out those little bit of clues or how to gain efficiencies or how to gain performance wins and all of that. So we need a solid collaboration tool, especially you're working in a work at home environment. And India is fortunately, our infrastructure is very strong. We have that support today. Even in rural villages, people have chosen to go back to their native places. The bandwidth, the connectivity, and all of that is very well supported today. But keep in mind that we have actually shifted our offices to homes. There is a personal invasion of people's family time and personal spaces, and we have converted that into office space. So collaboration with office and collaboration with professional coaches or team managers and all is a big opportunity today. How has Sutherland handled that? And I'm going to give you that example. And given my EVIT experience, I also have exposure to other organizations that are working today. So there is a lot of emphasis today on collaborative tools, like for example, Microsoft Teams, right? Where you can real time intervene when a frontline needs help, a supervisory intention, because if these are not managed well, you see a rise in your transaction time, your handle times and all of that, which in effect will definitely skew up your entire planning and your actual schedules versus what they are in compliance to the real-time performance. So ensuring that these performance metrics are not getting impacted, you need people to be mentored, coached real-time, collaborated real-time. All of these has to be managed by Solid. So there is a lot of technology invasion or intervention that is required today. Earlier, I would walk the aisle that my team is sitting and I can at one glance see the entire floor of 500 people. And I know if somebody is having a problem, they'll raise their hand and we'll just send somebody there and fix the problem. That's no longer a possibility, right? So you will have to ensure that your tools are so smart and so well leveraged. And therefore, we ensured that as a strong workforce practice, we trained our people, we created that awareness that you'll have to be collaborative, you have to ask. Don't think that you're in the cubicle in your house and you have a problem right now, you don't know who to ask. So the shift from physical space to actually a virtual space and seeking help, on-time help has become important. So that was a big shift in the way our workforce practice had to adapt. Secondly, some of our clients, especially if it is a healthcare vertical, and we know this globally like mortgage, there is a lot of confidentiality of data, the PII and all of that. So how do you ensure that you're minimizing those infosec deviations while people are working at home? So how is it as a workforce practice, I have certain tools, certain slippers in my network, and I have with, of course, with the consent of the people who are using it, how is it that we can monitor each of those? One good thing that has come out from the pandemic, and all of you will know, realize it by now, is productivity has gone up. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing it. The break time has come down, whether it is the water room breaks or the smoke breaks. People have nowhere to go, so they prefer, one of the best pastime just now is to be glued to your computer and do more work, right? So we are seeing approximately 5 to 7%, and some verticals even higher. So that is the improvement in overall productivity. So that's something which never anticipated, right? Attrition has come down. We are seeing a single digit attrition. It's like 2 to 3% attrition annually, or in some verticals, and in some months we are seeing some verticals which were really struggling in the past. Shrinkage, right? Shrinkage has come down, real-time shrinkage has come down. So if you look at it, the business benefit, the larger business benefit, overall our ability to bill more minutes is actually kicking in. So that is a big advantage to the entire WFM community, I would say, that you, without using too much of your analytical skills or tools and all of that, you have seen a sudden jump in overall productivity. Okay, that's God sent gift. Because of pandemic we are all cursing here, but I would say that that's something, if you look at that's a flip side. But like someone said, we have to keep the customer at the core of everything we're doing here, right? And who are supporting those customers are employees. So ensuring that the employee experience is as smooth as it was in an office environment, ensuring that, and Partha, you spoke about resilience, right? Right from a 5-year-old who's in a preschool is having to spend 4 to 5 hours in front of a computer learning, to an adult, and nobody is having fun doing this anymore. I remember 5 years back we were fighting to work from home. I'm sure none of us on this call today or meeting today would love to continue to work from home, because we're all social beings. We need those interactions, right? So it's not going to be fun. So when our employee experience is not good, so the software aspects of mental wellness, of ensuring that there is a virtual fun at work. And I'm requesting all the WFM professionals on this call today that don't just focus on productivity. Productivity wins, you're already seeing. Focus on giving those small little breaks and partner with your HR, business HR, and have certain employee engagement, a fun Friday thrown in virtually. It really works. Bring in an expert from outside, bring in a celebrity if you can afford the budget, but do something for your people to give them that mental wellness, the well-being factor. If that is taken care, you will see, without using fancy tools or technologies, you will see a boost in your productivity. I'll pause here.
That was awesome, Banu. Thanks. Now, I'd like to go to Rishikesh to understand what are those steps that your organization is taking to be ahead of the curve.
Thanks, Partho. And really, it has been very interesting. Before I get into answering, responding to your question, I would like to slightly reflect on also what I heard from my fellow panelists, and it has been really very interesting, right? Sometimes too, and that is the benefit of this forum, that at some places where I can see the parallel with what we are experiencing, and somewhere I'm experiencing, we are seeing exactly the opposite, honestly speaking. Okay. So yes, Banu, as you rightly said, the whole thing has shifted into our personal space, and while the productivity has increased, at the same time, sometimes the morale has come down that my boss can call me anytime, right? I mean, it is like all the time you are available, right? And I'm coming from the IT services industry where we are anyway. Our life was, working with US time zone, India time zone, and that kind of a life where we were already living in those time overlap circumstances. It has become all the more, what I would say, that way intrusive. That way, but yes, we have made some conscious efforts, and I think thanks to pandemic, that HR has got more active to make sure that leaders are informed, to schedule calls, keeping, being sensitive to the time, right, that you are setting up, and so on and so forth, right. But having said that, let me come to this. I mean, yeah, I think right from what Praj said in the beginning, like whole LND and WFM, right? I would slightly go back there to respond to Patho's question. So it is, in the IT services world, like, you can imagine Wipro, like 180,000 employees, organizations spread across 70 countries and more, right? And all time zones. So the pandemic forced us to further dilute all the boundaries. Now there are no boundary restrictions. Earlier there used to be, hey, I still want an employee or a talent in Bangalore or in Chennai or in Portugal or in somewhere in New York. But now nobody's coming to office, so you have to accept the talent where it is available and be open for it. And a lot of cultural boundaries kind of got diluted, which is a very, very positive thing. People become more open. So we are seeing, and we got into action. I mean, so far WMG and LND collaboration, I would say it is at the peak of where they have to be the most collaborated. So and let me also tell that this whole crisis about skilled supply, or the whole topic of reskilling, and the capability development, which I believe is also the theme of this discussion, is also not emanate is also emanating from the disruptions caused by the digital technologies, right? I mean, since I'm from a little more IT services background, I will slightly give that flavor. So primarily this started few years back, where the technology change became much more faster. Okay, earlier there was an age of once in 5 years, 10 years, then once in 5 years, then once in a few years there will be major technology shifts. Now the whole change of technology, the rate at which technology is changing has come down to 3 months, if I put it that way. Okay, it is changing at that rapid speed, and very clearly the academia, let us say, that our favorite discussion, like, are people coming out in the industry with their degrees and whatnot, are ready for the industry which is today, right? Not what they learned in their academics, which was a very clear gap. And also the entire way jobs are defined has changed completely. The Earlier, teams used to have 25 people, 50 people in a large project, which will run for say 3 years. Okay. Now we have much more small size teams of 6 to 10 people, and the project goes live in 12 weeks. So things have become extremely agile. Okay, extremely agile, and the need for extremely multi-skilled force has increased manifold. Okay, so the whole job profile has changed all there, and that is where the crisis, that is my first point, like the crisis is triggered by the rapid shift in technology. Okay, that is one thing. Now what Wipro is doing. So some of the things, these are, as these were shown in the trends in the technology, we were looking in the future much ahead of time. Like since last 3 to 4 years, efforts have been going on to collaborate with. So we looked at it from the three dimensions. One is uh, what is happening in the industry, what Wipro as an organization, as you know, is doing for the industry as such, right? So we much back in time did a backward integration with universities and colleges, right? We have a program called Talent Next, wherein we actually train the faculties and trainers from colleges and tell them the most industry relevant curriculum, that what they should be training their students on, like what kind of technologies are in use today. It could be it could be your AI, ML, big data, or so not. Full stack Java. I mean, we are taking it back to the colleges, telling them this is what we need, because business doesn't want to wait after they are given. They want day one ready, workforce. So that is one of the thing. Also, I think Banu also mentioned NASSCOM, right? So we are also very closely working with the NASSCOM Future Skills Initiative, where Wipro has a huge stake and role. Our chairman has, Rishad Premji, has been very active on that forum. He was the head of NASSCOM as well at a point in time. So we have made the content that we have for training available to uh, the the industry as large. So close to 10,000 employees of various engineering colleges, students of various engineering colleges can now access our training curriculum. Like our content is there now on Future Skills of NASSCOM. So this is something we are trying to prepare the industry for the skills which are required today. That is from the industry perspective. And then coming to the our own employees point of view, yes, I mean the employee experience, right, which is a become a big subject itself now. So we have made sure that employees are connected, like the connected little, in a much more proactive manner from the managers, line managers, and not only HR, for number one, their well-being. Number two, are they learning year on year continuously, right? So we have heavily invested into a digital training platform, which is like anytime, anywhere, enabled on mobile. You could be, having a coffee break or having a walk outside and turn on a training module and go on learning, right? So the micro learning has been the trend we have adopted, and we are making sure that those platforms provide that. And we have collaborated with the large content providers, right? That is Udemy or Coursera or the Harvard Business Publishing, right? Wherein our employees get all the rich content for the most future skills. So I'll take a pause here, but there are some of the things we are doing as an organization to get our workforce future ready, and to be ahead of the curve, and get our workforce prepared for digital disruption that has happened. Yeah, along with the
Uh,
pandemic effects that we are seeing.
Let me bring in Siraj here. Siraj, according to Gartner, there's a shift from designing roles for efficiency to designing for resilience. How do you
Right.
see roles emerging in your organization?
Yeah. So thanks, Partho. I just want to step back maybe before last year March, right? Pre-COVID days, right? So at that point of time, companies were very particular about the processes, policies, procedures, compliance and other stuff. I can quote an example of my company, which is since it is a healthcare company, right? It is very important that the PHI is protected. I mean, the guys in US, patients in US are very particular, and we have got some very heavy penalties if we breach those compliance norms. Now, during I mean, we have been trying to push for this workforce management for a very work from home options for quite some time now. But every time it was shot down, that the PHI will be at risk. HIPAA does not allow us to do this. Now it is against the compliance and so on and so forth. So every time we attempted, it never used to happen, right? And at one point of time before March last year, everybody was only talking about working from office. There is no other option. We have offices in Bangalore, Chennai, Trichy, Philippines, and US. So that is it. I mean, either guys will have to, if we hire people from outside Karnataka or outside any other uh, places where we do not have an office, they don't have a choice but to come here to office and work from here. So that was one other thing which was there. So from that perspective, now the policies have to be tweaked. Now the moment the lockdown was announced last year March, I still remember those days when till about March last week we had 100% of the staff working from office, and suddenly there was lockdown in the last week of March and we were asked to start working from home. Now, none of the clients had approved for this, and we had to go back to the clients asking, "This is the only way we can help you serve. The only way we can serve you, right? To work from home, right?" At that point of time, we did not have an option. We just had to kind of work on the resilience part, because the clients in US, even they start getting that pinch on their revenue, and they were incurring some huge losses, and the volumes are coming down, and nobody here in India to serve, and some of our clients, we are the only service providers. So from that perspective, they were always like they had zero revenue for the first 1 week of the lockdown. And suddenly this entire thing happened, and then we had to get we had to fast track the deployment of those machines, systems everywhere, and because we had 0% working from home. And now as we speak, we have about almost 100% of the people working from home. But those were the days we had to move away from efficiency in terms of our policies. What will happen to our productivity? What will happen to our information security? What will happen to our patient health information? All of that was that had to be kind of, we had to look out. We're not saying that we had to compromise that, but somewhere we had to trust our employees, and we had to bring in policies, procedures differently to match to the work from home environment. And those days where only we're talking about how do we get back to work, right? And then it happened. I mean, now today it has become the new normal. People are very comfortable now. And to what Banu was saying, that yeah, while the productivity improved, a little different, maybe it depends from company or a business to business. Here, I would say we are not a call center; we are a knowledge KPO, so we don't service our end clients while on the phone. It's not a inbound center. While we have centers in US, but US and Philippines, but in India, it is all all account receivables and medical coding. It's a little different industry, more like the, if you have to correlate it to the transcription kind of work. Now here the production hours have increased, but I would not say that the productivity is increased, right? So there is a difference between the production hours and productivity. That is where we had to deploy some of the tools which came into being, like there's a very powerful tool called Prohance. They were able to, earlier we used to have our um, uh, home in-house developed time management systems, but we had to have a very robust you know, um, productivity tracking tool like the Prohance. Tool is quite powerful, because we are able to track, like a typical call center. We can look at the queue, we can look at the production hours. The team leaders can look at the what the agent is doing, which URL he is accessing. It will take complete control of the machine. It is more of very micromanagement, which was till yesterday not the need of the hour, because we said, okay, these guys are working from office. We have been able to track their production hours. Wherever it is required for us, we can just provide them OT and then be done with the production if they are not able to meet their productivity standards within 8 hours. But still, now with remote working, wherein people are I must say that they might be, it's very difficult for us to kind of manage their breaks, manage their time away from system activities. So now we've gone to that level, but we have seen that the production hours as against 8 hours productivity, it has gone up to 9 hours plus in some of the processes. But the productivity, so to say, in terms of the number of charts which are processed, remains the same. Maybe they have found some innovative ways of increasing the production, but not the productivity. So those are some of the challenges we still have. But now I think the focus is more on even today as we speak, we're talking about getting about uh, we do not intend to get in 100% people back to office, right? We are still discussing our while the clients are very 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 skeptic about having our guys working from office from home all the time, because there is a huge risk, like I said. But still we are coming up with some innovative solutions. There is one solution from Avaya, which is work from home solution, a very very fantastic solution which we are exploring. We are kind of piloting that just to see how we can work and control the the compliance norms. And so from that perspective, I would say those very rightly pointed out by Gartner, very rightly studied, that now the days have gone that we cannot be talking about only processes, policies, very rigid processes, policies. We should be kind of very flexible in what we do, right? So from that perspective, I think we are in a current situation. We are what we are, so we just need to leverage. And I'm sure, I mean, obviously the technology has played a huge role in terms of facilitating us to make it successful. I'll just give it a pause here for any follow-up questions or anything from Parthoda.
Nirmal, you want to add anything on this?
Yeah, actually, right, Banu, Siraj, Praj, and Rishikesh is right, absolutely in agreement, right. And what Banu has brought, that productivity has increased, attrition has gone up, your the ability to earn more from a billable point of view has gone up, right. I support what Siraj is saying. Maybe the production has gone out, but may not be the productivity. So in Concentrix, what we have started giving is that we have started giving back to the employees, right? All these factors, if you see, and tie up to again, I will go to the strategy. Your happy employees will give you a happy customer, right? And that is what the customer centricity all about. So what we have done is that we are giving away this gain in productivity, gain in attrition, right, and gain in shrinkages back to the employees in terms of hours. So what we have started, right? We have started that we are asking people to take leaves to spend time with their families, because your social well-being is absolutely with all the lockdowns happening. So spend time with their families. The gain shared in terms of hours, right? Where we are asking employees to spend some time with them, going on a mental well-being sessions, right? Because if you have noticed, the mental well-being consultation that has gone up into the post-pandemic situation has gone up exponentially high than what it used to be in the pre-pandemic situation. So we are encouraging employee to go into the mental well-being sessions as well, how to cope up with this particular situation. Third, the third is on the physical well-being. We are promoting that what are some of the sessions that are fixed offs, there are fixed time schedules for the employees to go and attend these particular sessions built onto their schedules, right? So what we have started that whatever gain in hours that we are gaining, we are giving back to the employees. We have not stopped or any of the our hiring numbers. Hiring numbers is as usual, it is coming. The gain that we are sharing in terms of hours, we are giving back to the employees, because at the end of the day, your happy employee will give you a happy customer, and that is what the customer centricity all about, right? So we are kind of putting on a customer maniac organization, where we are saying that okay, employee maniac will definitely give you a customer maniac. So then employee centricity, employee well-being, employee satisfaction will definitely build a customer satisfaction.
Thank you, Nirmal. I mean, this thing about productivity and production brings a smile on everybody's face. Is something that we need to research later, I think.
That's a common phrase which moves around everybody's mind into the BPO, right? Productivity, shrinkage. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody will be related. At least these are the common terms. Everybody will be able to relate it.
Now, I'll go back to Rishikesh to understand that business intelligence is extremely vital for strategic decision making. How do you think an effective LMS helps in skill planning?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, now we are getting into the core of that L&D topic, and I will kind of give some background to that, right? I mean, how we are approaching. So if you ask me, when it comes to intelligence, right? So we talk about a lot of AI nowadays, right? But stepping back, I would say there are three components to this. Okay. So first of all, in the industry and in typical IT software industry, and I think all other industry are no different as such, that over the years, as the your technology evolves, new products, uh, new skill sets come into picture. Okay. First challenge that industry, I believe, facing is the non-standard competency framework or skill taxonomy, if you call it, right? There is no there is no standard skill taxonomy or ontology, if you can call it, that is there, okay, in the industry. There are efforts being made. NASSCOM is making some efforts, but um, you ask a line manager to give a job description, for the same technology, three different line managers give three different descriptions. Okay. Somebody will call something like, ability to work with the team. Somebody will call teamwork. Somebody will say, Java. Somebody will say Java full stack. So enough number of variations how people describe job descriptions, right? And it is a horrifying thing for a WMG and LND, or the workforce WMF and the workforce planning team and the LND team. Okay, not having a standard skill taxonomy, right? So first is, what organization needs to have is also a very common language within that, what a skill means to you, right? What is a skill? What is a capability, right? So just again stepping one more step back, like skill, basically we use this word and overuse this word, right? But skill is the most granular level at which you define any um, ability of a person, correct? And capability is more of a combination of skills that have to come together to solve a business problem, right? So for a sales guy to be able to effectively close a lead, he doesn't only need to know product and have a skill, but he needs to also have good listening skills, good communication, and a plethora of things, right? That defines the capability. So as organizations actually want to move to, have people who have the capability to solve business problem, capability to grow the business, right? So it has become all the more important that it is not only the learning management system. Okay, LMS is only a small tool part of it. It's a tooling of it, right? So there are three types of technologies come into picture. One is how your entire human capital management system is used in the company, right? Today you have products like SAP, Oracle, Workday, and whatnot, right? So many products, Salesforce, so many products are there in the market who help you to effectively manage your human capital in all 360-degree manner. Second comes the content, right, which the LMS provides. The LMS is in terms of, like, you could have, any of those tools, like, Udemy, you have Coursera, you have our own, we use tool called SumTotal, and so many LMS systems are there. But are these two systems talking to each other? When a workforce planning executive is deciding that for a given job description, is this particular employee who is available, or for deployment, is he suitable for that particular role, he has to connect all the dots. Okay. So one dot, as I said, your human capital system management system. Second is your learning content or learning system, which records that who attended what training, what skills he has. But third biggest element is the employee aspiration, correct? So no LMS or no tool can really connect that dot unless the actual line manager on the ground is connecting that dot. Okay. So we do have one of the advanced LMS systems to capture the employee skill sets, a very good HCM or HRMS system, where we manage the entire profile of an employee, his experience, his talent, past roles he has performed, locations he has worked on, all sorts of attributes, right? What finally matters is that the workforce management team being connected to an employee that what his aspiration is and what organization is expecting him to now get cross-skilled or re-skilled on, right? And especially in our industry, right? I mean, there were the days wherein we would take lots of campus recruits. We annually would be recruiting anywhere like 15 to 20,000 freshers, right, from the campuses. We would take them. We simply create, typecast them. You go into this, you go into this. Now we have also seen that a fresh graduate is having much more negotiating power. He's telling, hey, I have, before joining you, I have learned this. I want to work only on this cutting edge tool or technology. Otherwise, thank you. Right. So it has been an extremely this Gen Z thing that Praj was mentioning earlier, right? So they are very much demanding. So meeting the employee aspiration has forced us to become employee centric and not only business centric, like especially in our kind of industry. And just to tell you, Banu, I mean, we are in the first year of pandemic, we saw attrition rate coming to 1 digit. Now we are back to higher 2 digit. You would not imagine the level of attrition happening in the IT services world, which is like about 20%. You would not believe, like in this pandemic situation, post the this year, right? First year was, yes, in the first wave and all, quite everything became quiet. Suddenly the all the attrition reports look great, like we are the lowest attrition. It is going again, into the worst. So long story short, Partho, so we have one of the advanced LMS systems and the HR systems. But what is very important is and challenging is meeting the aspirations of Gen Z. Uh, very high touch approach is required, giving them really those. We have gone into the social networking platforms which they use. Like we know that there is a statistics is like the social network has come into the office space, right? So we have platforms like Yammer where we allow the internal social networking between the employees, where leaders also go and collaborate with the employees. We have gone mobile for every single internal application that we had. Any ERP systems, all our ERPs are mobile enabled now, right? All our learning management systems are mobile enabled because that is the device they are using more than computer, And so we have gone there and trying to reach them and engage them better, investing heavily in their certifications, getting them professional certifications, getting them professional, courses enrolled. Is that all we are trying to do from the bringing in that and then trying to connect it with the business opportunities, right? And not in the isolation. Gone the days where we are treating them like a stock. I mean, we cannot manage that human capital anymore as a stock. I mean, we have to be really connected and knowing their aspiration is what we are realizing.
So Partha, with your permission, I just like to chime in here to add to Rishikesh's point. There is a LinkedIn post a couple of days back which talks about resignations to really be on the rise. So there is a temporary improvement that we are seeing, but let's not get carried away by that. You're actually spot on, Rishikesh. So it's because our inability to adapt quickly to the changing demands of the industry and our employees, the workforce. So and there is a, if you have seen the newer generation, if I may, they don't really like to stick out to an organization for more than 2 years, right? And that is reducing to a year and a half to a year now, which means that it actually robs them of the adaptability to an organization's culture, learning, and bringing in that rich tenure, the experience that they actually can bring. So if somebody is hopping every 2 years, you can imagine how much of investment their own making in their, well, I'm actually seeing a lot many organizations in 10 years therefore, but what is my core expertise that I'm building upon? So we'll also have to therefore look at how are we going to tackle that in addition to attrition. How are we going to focus on building that core competency that the organization and our clients so badly need? I'll come to my turn when I speak about it, but Rishikesh, yes, thank you, yes, spot on there.
Yeah.
That brings us to a very mute question, which is of mindsets, right? And I'll take this to Prajakta and also ask her. Basically, I mean, this is one of the major problems that the HR professionals keep echoing every time there's a conversation, And at Flipkart, Walmart, how's the organization preparing itself to counter these things?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Partha, for that question. If I had an answer for that, I would be a multimillionaire. But let me take a shot at let me take a shot at it, right? I think I recently heard a story. So if you allow me 60 seconds, let me share that with you. It stuck with me, stayed with me, and it basically is the epitomization of what change means. I don't know if you've heard about the Choluteca Bridge in Honduras in Central America. So this learning from the story here is very relevant for pretty much all of us. So when they decided to build a new bridge over the river Choluteca in 1996, this was in Honduras, as you guys know, it has a lot of elements like typhoon, hurricanes, all of that, right? So it's a very battered kind of region from natural elements. And so they wanted to build this bridge to ensure it could withstand those extreme weather conditions. So they actually went all over the world. They found a Japanese firm. It was contracted. They built this amazingly solid bridge that was designed to withstand, all kinds of powerful forces of nature, right? And so this new bridge was inaugurated. It was a modern day marvel in 1996 as they started building it, and it was thrown open to the public in 98. It took a couple of years to build. When people drove from one side of the bridge to the other, it was a pride and joy, right? Like, look what we've built. And in October that same year, there was a Hurricane Mitch that hit Honduras. There were about 75 inches of rain in 4 days, and equivalent of what they would receive in 6 months. And there was devastation all over, right? So, like, the river was swollen, it flooded the entire region, thousands of people lost their lives. All bridges in Honduras were destroyed except this one, which was the new bridge. Interestingly, there was a problem. While the bridge was intact, the roads that went to the bridge and away from the bridge were all gone. Right? Only the bridge was left. Also, the river had changed its course through this and created a new channel. So the river no longer flowed from below the bridge, but it was flowing beside the bridge. It has happened 22 years ago, but that bridge still exists. There are photos if you Google it, and it's a bridge to nowhere, right? And I think that's a fantastic, story for us to remember as well, about what happens despite everything that you might try to make sure you are future-proofing yourself. The fact that you need to still constantly be agile, adapt, right? All of that. So if I use L&D as an example, because that's what we're talking about today, I do think one of the biggest influences in our organization to help them constantly adapt and learn is actually the L&D function. So, we work very closely with our businesses on understanding the long-term strategy. Look at, what are the corresponding people strategy that we're going after, and accordingly build our L&D strategy for the future as well. So that's how we work hand in hand together, right? But from a future perspective, a few learnings that we've had over a period of time, and that's what we are also working towards. That's what we see in the future. Learning has to get integrated extremely strongly, and hence the example I was sharing earlier around the internal talent marketplace. And I agree with what Rishikesh was saying, right? The employees of today are different. So if you're not able to customize it for them and build their employee experience, it's very hard to engage and develop and. So integration is a big part of it. Along with that, the type of organization we have, the type of employees we have, democratizing it, giving it to them to decide is also important. Finally, I think one of the panelists was also talking about individualization, right? That is equally important. But interestingly, at least for our population, what we've found is learning and development online is not going to work. The uptake is very small. Despite everything that you would imagine of a technology organization, our employees are not always online for learning, and they still prefer, in classroom, virtual, whatever you want to call it. So that for us will continue to remain in the future as well. And mindsets, Parthada, that you talked about. So, we basically went deeper. So just the way we always leverage the iceberg for analogy, you have skills, you have capabilities, and you have mindsets that are deeper within. And as an organization, we've realized for the next few years, we really have to focus on building certain mindset in the organization if we have to succeed in the market. It's one of the craziest markets in e-commerce. I'm sure all of you read newspapers every day. You have new players coming in. You have, all types of big companies getting into e-commerce as well, right? So the market is also evolving very, very rapidly for us. So the four mindsets we realize we have to kind of equip our population with is growth, entrepreneurship, collaborative, and sustainable, right? So those are the four key mindsets that we've decided are important for us as an organization and what we focus on for the future. And the last one example I want to share is, from a skilling perspective, to Rishikesh, your point, right? We want to make sure it's a balance between the two. So we also have gamified journeys around, let's say in our technology organization, around emerging technologies to encourage our employees to go deeper into, let's say, AI/ML, blockchain, IoT, AR, VR. So how do we kind of make sure that our employees are looking ahead, developing the skills that we are also going to need for the future to succeed, right? As an organization, and to Nirmalya's point, our customers are also changing. So how do we change in line with the way our customers are changing? Is going to be a key portion of this future journey. So hope that answers the question that you had, Partho. I can talk on and on, but I want to make sure that I am crisp as well.
Uh, I mean, I'll take this AI bit, AI and ML bit to Banu. What do you think is the impact of AI and machine learning for a future-ready workforce?
See, that's a very relevant question for an organization like Sutherland. We have been traditionally known as a BPM company, for example, but we are rapidly embracing the entire transition and transformation to being a digital company. So we are actually keeping all our existing client base and seeing how we can lift and shift them from brick and mortar presence to an online presence, not just being an online company, but also being a totally digital company, if I may. So therefore, a lot of skills are required to see if there is 100% of my workforce which is enabled by having physical bodies doing to the seat. How can we have a business model where there is a blended, a mix of bots as well as human beings? Okay, so we have seen that a lot of our businesses, we are deploying the robotic solutions very rapidly, and we have been able to shape the traffic. So the customer traffic that was originally flowing in, say, 120 or 140%, by deploying bots, we have been able to minimize the traffic, and we are seeing that our bots are handling the first 7 minutes of the transactions very easily today. Say if you, for example, any of you go and book a airline ticket, the first 3 to 5 minutes is handled by a bot. You may not be knowing there is no live person at the other end, but you're actually transacting with a bot, and it's happening seamlessly today. It's happening so with the healthcare industry, travel, retail, hospitality, everywhere. So if that is the huge deployment of robotics and self-learning techniques like the machine learning languages and AI, then all our tools therefore have to have that intelligence built into our business models. So as an organization, what we have done is we have actually at an agent level, at a frontline, client facing, customer facing, consultant level, we have trained them on some of the skills which are mandatory to support our customers. But what we have done is, see, we heard Prajakta speaking about it, right? We need to inculcate a will for skill. I can, as an organization, push in hundreds of programs saying, hey guys, the world is changing towards this. You want to enable yourself, go and learn. But if you don't really have the will in yourself to go and upskill, how much ever the organization pushes you for it, you're not going to tap on that opportunity. So, and that happens by peer influence. That happens by watching others actually growing and getting promotions or getting visibility, because they were the early starters. They went and picked up a new skill, and that skill helped them get visibility or get into a very critical project, and therefore earn a lot of name, fame, and all. So will to skill, I would say, is one of the most important things, because today learning on the go, learning on your phone is so easy. By paying just 500 rupees, you can log into any of these massive online courses, the MOOCs, Udemy or Coursera, and you can pick up a course today. It's no big deal. If I want to be certified RPA, I can do it maybe at $1,000. But how wise should I do it? The WIFM, the what is in it for me, should be very clearly demonstrated to the younger generation, especially. So we have launched what is known as SURE, Sutherland University for Robotics Expertise. And here we have different levels, beginners and experts and all of that. We allow them to learn at their pace. And when they actually get the certificate, this helps as a qualifier for their annual appraisal as well. And it helps them to actually go and bag projects which is not within their vertical, it could be elsewhere. Secondly, what we're doing with the leadership team is every fortnight we have a TikTok. A TikTok is Transformation and Innovation Group Talk. And these are senior leaders in the organization, the VPs, directors, and above. They are the client facing. So they are actually hearing the problems of the clients and the customers. So what are the different tools that we offer versus what are the tools that the industry is embracing? What is a best fit for my customer, and how do I go and explore that? We take case studies of existing customers, how we transition them and transform them to digital, and then we discuss those case studies during this TikTok every Thursday, for example. And it's become such a big hit within the leadership team that they're saying, oh wow, in my own organization we have used so many of these tools and it helped and I'm winning business. Trust me, what the left hand does, sometimes the right hand doesn't know. In an organization, when we become huge, so it's important to have this collaborative best practice sharing sessions once a week or whatever cadence that you like to define. But you need to design and customize the programs for different people at different levels and ensure that everybody is actually, there is a digital culture, if I may, in the organization, which is evolving towards meeting the customer needs as well as the client needs. So that's how we are managing this entire AI, ML, RPA or NLP. So some of our tools we heard from the other panelists today, most of the tools that we are doing today are available on mobile, are available for our frontline. And there is an open challenge to anybody who likes to shift from what they're doing to moving into the digital world, especially on the COMO space, the content moderation. There is a tremendous opportunity. In fact, there is a skill gap that is being predicted between what is required in the digital space in terms of the skills versus what is being offered. So L&D has to really step up and ensure that the skill gap can be very well tackled in future.
Thank you, Manu. Siraj, are you around? Anyways, yes.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I wanted to come to you to actually get a hang on what all skills do you think stuff like remote networking and sense making. How are these skills impacting the workforce of today?
Yeah, so like most of us said, and again I would like to reiterate what I said in my earlier talk, was that today we are moving away. I mean, now the work from home has become the new normal, right? And everybody has to get adopted to this, and there's no shying away from this. Whether we like it, we don't like it, we have to do that. And like Banu was saying, technology is going to play a huge role now. Now most of those things, what we used to feel what we used to experience as a challenge earlier, in terms of our inability to connect with people right on the fly, and managing things remotely. Now it's come a long way in terms of ensuring now that the guys are working from home, and those guys are equipped with, like I said, like Microsoft Teams in the past, and recently has been a big hit. Zoom has been a big hit in terms of facilitating people to connect, and from a training standpoint also, right? Earlier, there were policies, procedures that all these trainings has to happen from office environment, but we are moving away from that, right? While there is a risk of turnover, high turnover, people dropping out after delivering the machine systems to these guys from the day one of training. Now, earlier we used to focus on how do we ensure that the production is up, right? From a more from a impact stand, just to ensure that we are not impacting the clients. And we were kind of getting guys to either uh, have the training done over the phone. We have got some internal tools like the Jarvis, and there are some L&D learning tools which is used to do the training. Now, with the implementation of those, again, the effectiveness was getting lost because it's all remotely done. Now, that is something that we had to kind of just to bring in more effectiveness. We had to tweak our processes, policies, procedures in terms of ensuring from day one the guy, even if he's in training, we'll have to deploy the machine to this guy, whether he's locally, whether he's outstation, individual. We'll have to kind of ship those systems, machines to them while there is a risk, right? Because our kind of an industry, ITS especially, the training throughput is not more than 80%. Like 20% of the people are expected to, leave the system. Now, even with that risk, we are ready to live with that risk because somewhere, we wanted to bring in that effectiveness in terms of, the training that we are doing, because of late, till the time these guys hit the shop floor, the expectation is that they have to achieve X quality, X turnaround, X production levels. But somewhere, uh, because uh, because of the remote working, we had to kind of compromise on those, and most of the trainings used to happen on the phones, and that effectiveness was getting lost. Hence, we had to kind of focus on bringing those guys on systems. If it is a risk, so be it. I mean, we might end up having around, we might have some abscondees there, and we might not be able to recover the machines on time from these guys, and so on. These are the practical challenges. But as an organization, in order to ensure that we don't dilute the entire training process, we had to do that. And every while this remote um, working, right, remote monitoring has its own pros and cons. Like work from home has its own pros and cons. Some of the panelists said that, I think Banu said in terms of the production hours. Now, while there is flexibility for the employees to be available, like for example, if in a KPO kind of an environment where the inventory stays with, right, you don't have to be just in time, be available to take call in a typical inbound call center. Now, in this kind of a situation, the inventory comes into us, and we are assigning that inventory to the employees, agents. Now, that gives them a flexibility, because we normally operate with a very the seat utilization comes into play, right? Normally, in offices, we tend to operate at a very healthy seat utilization, because we have got two shifts only. One is a day shift and one is a night shift. Now, one shift which supports the US client starts at 5:30, and there is one more shift which starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, with this kind of a setup, it is imperative. I mean, it is quite easy for us to achieve a seat utilization of 2, but that flexibility may not be available in office. When the guy is logged in the morning, and by the time the 5:30 guys comes in, he does not have a choice but to vacate that seat. We used to while the person has not achieved the production levels for the day, but still we don't have a choice, but we cannot hold that seat for somebody else, because that seat is already assigned to someone who's coming in the night shift. Now, that flexibility is increased in the work from home environment, wherein guys are able to extend hours, while we used to have those um, you know um, um, challenges in terms of ensuring, okay, what are those shift extension seats that we need to allocate to the guys, right? If there is some OT that we'll have to do for the day shift folks, we have to think twice. Do we have the seats available in the night to accommodate? Now, we used to manage with the shrinkage seats and so on and so forth. So those challenges have kind of come down drastically, and I would say it has come down, right? I mean, we have the flexibility today in terms of ensuring that the guys can increase the production. Yeah, that is a separate discussion. Whether the productivity in is increasing, that is debatable again. But yeah, so those are some of the challenges that we have. And like Banu very rightly said, we are social beings, and we like to work uh, in groups, and we like to have that you know um, those small pep charts in office, and those are the things that community connect is missing, for sure. That is one thing which is kind of uh, that's something which most of the times when we take feedback from the employees, we get to know that no, this is, I love to work from home. Earlier, these are the same people who used to say that no, should you give us an option to work from home, I think we'll take it up. But these are the same people now, they are so very I don't know, they're tired of working from home. They want to come out for a change. They want to have that, they want to socialize with people, those small breaks, those the sutta breaks. Then most of the people are missing those those breaks and those talks. And while that is kind of taking on the burnout, people are being most of the people are complaining that we are being asked to work continuously. Every time the expectation, when I'm connected from home, the expectation is that I am available to pick up my phone all the time. I'm available to respond to emails all the time. So that has become an expectation, right? But still, those are some of the challenges. But yeah, from a business standpoint, as a company, we have been able to add, say, about 2,000 odd people in the last pandemic. There is, like Nirmalya said, there's no decrease in the number of people that we are hiring, and we have been able to hire close to 1,000 add. I'm talking about the net ads, right? So net ads is increased by another 1,500 people, but we have not extended our facilities. While we require at least to have two large floors to accommodate this. Though that the office space expansion is come to an halt, we are able to add people at home without adding cost to the company. But yeah, we are looking at options and ways and means. How do we kind of compensate these guys by way of recognizing and then kind of giving that additional perks so that they also feel comfortable. So those kind of things are there, but every, like I said, has got its, every setup has got its own pros and cons. Um, Now, these are some of the things, like cutting down on the travel time might be a pro, but the other flip side to it is that we are kind of losing on some of the our capability to monitor the agents and ensure that the quality is maintained and retained. Today, the only challenge that we have today is that whenever there is, even today, as we speak, now that the pandemic has come down, I was just looking at one of the emails wherein the business has decided that we need to look at we need to identify some of the clients who are not meeting the quality standards, which has got a continuous escalation from the clients. We are just planning to see how we can get them back to office, right? So those kind of things still exist, but yeah, this is a reality which we'll have to accept and move on. Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
so very much, Raj. Thank you.
Thanks, Parthula.
So that brings us to the end of the session. And before anything else, let's try and check with Shiva if there are any questions that have come. Shiva, any questions that you have?
Yeah, there are a few questions where in the chat box where what are the essential learning is important to upskill and for future fitness of the organization, and how do we measure the upskilled versus future readiness? Is there any art and science is followed in any of the organization? For example, yes, XYZ organization is ready for 2022, where organization has invested building capability in terms of upskilling, cross-skilling, or skilling, versus the future readiness, considering the kind of capacity planning or like future sales pipeline. So how do we measure that? Yes, we are ready 10%, 15%, or 20%, or maybe 100%. How do we measure? Is there any art and science is followed in the organization, or any best practices to follow and adopt in the organization?
Prajakta, you'd like to take that?
Yeah, I can take that on how
Okay,
the organizations are dealing with that. See, there is a sales funnel that the organization builds, and normally the sales funnel is built almost 2 years ahead of time. But given the rapid transformation that's happening just now and the technology's shelf life as to what is relevant today versus what's coming out. So the sales funnel actually decides what are the skills that you will need to honor those sales commitments, right? So the funnel then lands into the skills identified, and then the whether the existing staff can be upskilled to meet that, or do we need to buy or build inside, right? The build versus buy that we do. So if you have a capability model which helps you to build your existing staff by doing a bridge program and fulfill your sales commitments, great. Or you'll have to go ahead and buy. So the entire process, the workflow is based on your sales funnel. But you're right, some of the accounts or the client wins that happen mid-year, which is not part of your budget, you're not going to say no to that business, right? So the business, when it lands in your lap, say mid of the year, which you haven't planned, say for example, I'm suddenly seeing a huge surge in content moderators, and we all know the kind of content moderators skilling, as well as the focus on their mental wellness, because it's not easy to do the content moderation. They need a specific training, they need a lot of hand holding, there is a separate program that is required to handle. So the skills and the gap identification as well as building them. So over a period, the organization is now building what is known as, in the past in the IT services space, we used to have bench staffing, if you recall. But to overcome the profitability and all of that, we scrapped that bench staffing. We don't have the bench staffing anymore. But if the technologies are changing the way they are changing, and you have a lot more clients going on to the digital space, and you don't have the necessary skill, then there is possibility of having bench staffing who can be trained and kept ready for the newer skills that are coming in and the requirements that are flowing in.
Great. Any more question, Shiva, or shall we go ahead and close it?
So Partho, I would like to just add a small color to what Banu said. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think she rightly got it, as in, and I will again talk from the IT services context. So your own forecasting model plays a huge role, and how robust and mature it is, right? But one important shift we are seeing now is, we used to do some kind of an annual planning, which has now come to practically quarterly planning, right? It has become a new normal, that it is no more like, okay, you will plan something at the beginning of the year and do exactly that, because now the situation is, what you planned at the beginning of the year in 6 months might be irrelevant, so it has become almost a quarterly or 3 months kind of capacity planning that we do, just to share an experience. And yes, depends on your sales funnel or the the pipeline that you see from the perspective. But at the same time, it will have an element of your risk taking to it, right? I mean, how much business wants to bet on a given, for example, for digital technologies, there is a disproportionate bet, right? So you might have the projected volume of X, but we might be actually preparing 3X the capacity, because it's a big bet for us, right? So it depends on how your leadership has defined the vision and the strategy, and then boiling it down to the operational plan for executing that, right? That should define the measurement criteria, and not in a academic way. Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Part I just wanted to add. Yeah.
Nirmala, anything you want to add here?
No, I think Rishi and Bhanu is on the right trajectory. Only one thing I want to add is that we should be cognizant of the fact, right, that learning is a continual process, right? And measure of success is that, okay, I am 80% to what it is, because your learning capability and your learning inclination, right, should not stop, right? It's a continuous process. Basis that what according to the industry I am aligned or not, is basis that how you keep yourself updated. It is into an individual inclination, that how much an individual is keeping himself updated with what the industry is moving around, right? In terms of accuracy, right, why we are using AI, why we are using machine learning, why we are using bots, right? If you see this, all this technology, all these features have been introduced, there are two aspects to it, right? One is to increase the predictability of the business. Second is to execute more within a very stipulated time. At the end of the day, we have only 24 hours. That cannot be changed, right? Third is what? That we are moving into a repetitive, we are automating the repetitive space and adding more and more intellectual to the end. And that is why organizations are coming up with the innovation councils, a very drive onto innovation, right? So I think the learning, I liked what Raj told for the leadership, that the L&D is a very, very influential arm in terms of getting this thing organized, getting an individual trained and upskill, right? It is not that if I make everybody learn on AI and machine learning and he is absolutely up to the mark, it is not that, right? Apart from AI and machine learning, there are other aspects as well. So I think it depends upon an individual inclination that what he wants to do, what he wants to achieve.
Thank you, Nirmalya. With this, we'll conclude this session.
We have one more question from the audience. Question is, when employees are very busy in their schedule, working from home, there's no office timings as such compared to the earlier where, like you close the office and you have the shifts and all. They're being very busy at the same time, you got to upskill them. But do you see any challenges in upskilling the talent where, they're very busy and at the same time, the utilization is also a challenge? And also, what do you motivate? What is in it for employees? Apart from being employable and future ready, is there any motivation that is created from the people experience perspective or employee experience perspective, or maybe from the organization perspective? Like what is in it, or what really motivates them generally to learn or maybe upskill?
Prajakta, you can.
Sure, I can take a shot at it, and then would love to hear if any of my fellow panelists have used well. Okay, so I think it's always going to be a challenge, right? I mean, if I think about even my day to day, people used to at least not set up meetings in the morning because they would know I'm driving into work, or would stop meetings in the evening after a particular time, assuming people have to go back home. No such thing, right? Everybody assumes you are basically available all the time, irrespective.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what must be happening from a learning perspective as well. But just to give you a personal example, I spent 2 half days this week in a lab, working, learning lab, right? My motivation was one, of course, my team was organizing it. So this was actually part of our leadership development journey, which is about a year-long journey that we had crafted for our Senior Director Plus Talent. But at least for my organization, what I have seen is if it is something that your leaders talk about, right? It's coming as a sponsorship from your leaders. They see a lot of value in why this is important for us as an organization, for our teams. That's the first big step. Right? The second big step is if people see a connect with what I want to do and what you're asking me to do. How is what you're asking me to do helping me? Bhanu's, what's in it for me, right? If that's the second piece you're able to do, it will become a pull rather than a push. The third piece that we also try and do is integrate the learning aspects into their goals itself. So today, for example, when I am as an employee going in for my goal setting, I also have a section, not just the business goals I want to achieve, but also the individual development plan and the goals, learning goals I'm going to commit to achieving this. Right? So that also kind of builds that impetus to go and make sure you're actually doing it this way, right? It's part of your goals as well. And the fourth piece is what are the incentives you build into it once somebody does it, right? So that's the final piece of it, whether it says something from a performance perspective, it builds into a competency rating that you give, whatever that is for you as an organization. So those are the 4 elements I've seen, at least for us, work really well, despite the fact that this is work from home. So the only time when we took a step back was during wave 2. So April, May, that March, April, May timeframe, we actually paused our learning programs because the organization, the people around us were all going through a rough time. So we actually said, let's just pause everything we're doing, including what is non-critical from a business perspective as well. So only focus on some of the business critical aspects during this time. So if you keep that situation apart, the 4 elements I talked about really work for us. Does that answer the question, Partha?
Yeah, I think it should. Shiva, now I think we've overshot by about 10-15 minutes. So shall we conclude it here?
We have another the session which is coming up next is going to be
Yes.
postponed to later after 6. I think we have some time. We have one question from Sridhar Mudaliarvan. Let me unmute Sridhar.
Yeah.
Sridhar, yes.
Okay, I thought you'll ask that, but it's okay. Wonderful. Hi, I have one question, and this is a battle I fight time and again with people. Why would I want to upskill people? I mean, don't get me wrong. Why wouldn't I leverage AI to build the right kind of a knowledge graph, the right kind of technologies to provide the agent with the right assistance that they need? And I will let ML take over to keep learning. A universal, and in reality, I don't want to burden a human with wanting to learn all the time. I would rather enable and empower for anybody to do any task. Universal workforce, and it can go, and that brings in diversity into the workforce, is what I believe actually improves the work. If I can get anybody to do any job, then the kind of diversity and thought leadership that comes in to deliver the job is unmatched. Why L&D should be obsolete? I mean, we should not be making an effort into L&D. We should be providing technology. Isn't that the way it should be? Just a thought. I'm going to bounce it off with you folks. I see smiles. You're laughing at me, but it's okay. I mean, I'm fine with that.
No, it's a great question actually. If I can take a quick shot at it and then open it up. But see, for me, you should stop learning only when you die. What's living without learning? Whatever learning that is, right? That's number one. Number two is, at the end of the day, technology cannot, beyond the point, is not replacing humans. They are enabling us as humans, right? So all the research you read, you look at the trends in multiple places, right? They are enabling us. So I'll give you the example that I was giving on the internal talent marketplace. It's an AI ML platform. But people who are working with me today are helping me customize that platform for my requirements. Unless they understand that technology, understand how the algorithm works, they can do squat. That platform is of zilch use for them as an organization, right? So there might be certain areas which are repeatable processes, very, very standard, reliable processes, which can definitely get completely automated, right? And maybe your AI ML algorithms can completely run it into it. But if there is a problem in that process, who do you think is going to be required to come in and figure out what the problem is? And what skills does that person need to have to actually figure that out and solve that? Right?
So
that is the crux of the matter, in my opinion. But I see Bhanu, Rashid,
it is just exception handling that needs to be addressed, and exception handling is actually just 20%. 80% can go out of the window.
Which industry are you from?
So I would like to slightly chime in to Project. So Sridhar, so yeah, I mean, certainly this question needs to be a little more contextualized. Okay, what industry you are actually, referring to, that you feel everything can be absolutely, automated and no learning required, right? See, let me first give some caveat, okay? AI and ML are absolutely that way hyped and abused words also. I'm from a technology industry and I'm telling you this, okay? So there is possibly some supercomputer which can solve very complex things to possibly project weather, okay? But nobody has come up with a logic or computer to project a human being, let me tell you that, okay? So we are dealing with, as long as you are an organization, right, which has humans, right? If you are completely, I would say machine-driven organization different, but if it's a human-based organization, right, no tool exists to predict, that person's behavior as well as skill set, right, which he aspires to do. One is what he had in past, second is what he aspires to do, right? So intervention is needed, whether you call it L&D, you call it regular HR, okay? It does not get hung on the word L&D, right? That question, your question actually completely questions the HR itself. Forget L&D, right? You are actually putting a question whether we need an HR in an organization, right?
Ops also, yeah.
Right. So yeah. So L&D is like, I will just take it in a pinch of salt that you referred L&D, but when you are having humans in the organization, you will need a system to understand their aspirations, then keep up with the growth or business that you are into, right? And at least the industries I've seen, and everybody there is a churn. You have to buy versus build thing, right? And obviously buy is going to be expensive, so you have to build that capability internally, and that's why HR slash L&D slash WMG, WFM comes into picture, right? So that's what I would like to just add to.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things there. So, Sridhar, again, it depends on the industry which you belong to. Uh, while we are going in that direction, right? There is nothing to be emotional about it, right? So if there is benefit to it, I'll tell you one classic example. In healthcare, we have got a process called medical coding, right? So medical coding, it is nothing like very objective. No, there is like what happens. There are about 60,000 different codes, medical codes for each of the treatment that you do. Now we have been able to, we've been trying this for a very, very long time. And just to read the radiology charts, right? Recently, there are a lot of tools which came into being, and then they were out of the market. Again, they came in. There are some tools now. They have come up to a maturity level that they were able to only automate some of the very simple charts which comes our way, like the radiology charts are very objective in nature. For this treatment you get this code, for this treatment you this code, very objective. Now when it comes to your inpatient charts or the outpatient charts, or you've got your surgery charts, cardiology, so those kind of charts, what happens is, like, again, it requires a lot of human decision making, right? You cannot say that, what, if I throw a chart to 5 different people, I used to challenge my folks that, everybody will code the chart differently. Maybe all are right charts, but again, the guy who's actually doing the QA, he will look at this and then decide, okay, what you are coded may be very clear, very close to what you are supposed to code it. So it is a very, it's a lot of decision making is involved in it. The moment you come to a human, that is where the human involvement is required from a decision making standpoint, which is very subjective, and we need to have that reasoning which a machine may not be able to give. So that is the reason why we have been able to automate all our radiology charts, but when it comes to other complex charts, we have never been able to, while we intend to do it, right? So like you said, why do we upskill people? We don't want to, right? This is where we are heading towards, right? Everybody wants to be practical, and then everybody wants to deploy the bots, and then we are going in the direction of RPA, to use the technology, leverage the technology to ensure how much we can simplify the work. So which is what we are doing everywhere. We are doing that. I'll just quote one example on the business intelligence tool, right? We have got, you won't believe, Power BI is a Microsoft product, right? Power BI supposedly, right? People who will come, maybe the KPMGs or the Deloittes of the world, when they come to you as a consultant stating that, okay, we'll deploy this business intelligence tool as a consultant, we'll make sure that Excel is eliminated from your company. Can we do that? Right? We tried this, right? But surprisingly, we couldn't. I mean, unfortunately, we could not do it. We could not kill Excel. What used to happen? Business intelligence tool, very structured data. People started using, exporting the data onto Excel and start doing their own analysis, right? So we are a we have a Power BI implemented 360-degree dashboard. Here you have a dashboard which talks about all the different KPIs that you want. It is a single source of truth. This is the technology, right? It is pulling our data automatically from all the sources, integrated with everything. But still, we have a large workforce to manage this analytical, the analysis that we'll have to do. Right? These are some of the challenges, and then more so, and I was like questioning myself, okay, when Power BI is coming up, I asked this question to one of the consultants. I said, you are saying that you want to kill Excel, but Microsoft is still providing Excel, and it is kind of improvising Excel. It is giving us Excel, it is adding more and more features into Excel, but they have a parallel tool in the form of Power BI. Also, they are claiming that it is one of the most powerful and business intelligent platform. You can do this and that from a visualization, cosmetic standpoint, and so on and so forth. But still, Microsoft themselves do not want to stop Excel. If that was the case, Microsoft would have been the first guys to actually kill Excel and then hand over Power BI to you. So which means that all these claims of moving away from this to that, till the time we do not have that adoption levels, right? I know we are going to a large extent. We have simplified a lot of processes, like talking about the IVR. We have got bots to address some of the very simple kind of work on calls we do not have, right? Today you're struggling to get into a bank to talk to an agent. It is simplified, but that is something, whatever we can, we are doing it. And I'm sure, over a period of time, as we grow, complexity will also increase, and the human intervention will also increase, and hence the upskilling is required all the time.
So, Siraj,
That's my take, Sridhar.
Siraj, contextually, you picked up an example for Power BI. It's a ETL tool. It's extract, transform, load. You work on it. Now, this is an organization that you said is struggling to get out of Excel, which is fine, which is a journey everybody takes. We've taken it. Okay. However, you also, I mean, I can give you, I don't want to quote the bank right now. That bank doesn't use Excel, and it's one of the top 10 banks in the world.
Yeah, again,
Okay.
like I
They
said,
don't
it
use
depends
Excel.
from the company to company,
They
business
use
to
Tableau
business,
or
wherever it is.
yeah. So, it's a journey we're taking. All of us have to take this journey. I'm just looking at it differently, saying, fine, 20% exception, we have to do it. Why? I mean, and my L&D folks are the SMEs, the experts. I would rather leverage their expertise to train the simple AI. As Rishikesh mentioned, we don't have complex AI available. There's no singularity coming at the moment. We are simple sitting at simple AI, but that simple AI is what we keep building on and keep building on to get that intelligent platform running, right?
Right.
A simplest AI takes 90 days to really start working. Now 180 days to become, proficient. We know it, you know it, I know it. We know the struggle that we've done. But it's a journey. We got to start somewhere. Instead of, and also
I think we
the
are in
work.
the journey. If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's become so complex that I don't want to burden the employee. I see the pressure on the employee at times because they're just absorbing, and then the end point is humans make errors. So how much of the error elimination can I do is a question. So why can't we look at doing that more rather than focusing in just upskilling? Why can't we just, get them a twin? So digital twins exist for some of the businesses. I'm sure you're working on it, right? Even L&D is just a thought. I'm not saying that's the way to go. It's just that I didn't hear that coming out saying, we're really leveraging agile technology to do this.
I think I did mention about some of the tools which we are using in the industry, right? Like I quoted an example as well. So I quoted about these radiology charts, which at one point of time, I mean, it used to be in millions for us. Now 70% of the business is gone, but still it is replaced with other complex charts for which we have to
Okay.
provide the training to the guys to upskill themselves. Yeah.
So it's the
So which
same,
means
this same thing. We are in sync.
exactly.
Yeah, we are in sync.
Exactly, absolutely. I mean, whether we like it, we don't like technology, we don't have a choice but to live with it, right? Sometimes,
Yeah.
change management is always a pain for everybody, but still we don't have a choice. We have to make it happen. Otherwise, if you don't do it, somebody else will do it for you. So this is the mantra, because I've been asking this thing. Okay, we are deploying bots, we are deploying RPAs to make
Bots
sure
are
that we
passing.
simplify
They are,
process.
yeah. They are the oversold. I mean, oversold transformation lever, or thing. There's more that's moved in now. You know it,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah.
right.
Nice, good question, Sridhar.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. I think we're on time now. Thank you so much. Prato, if you could just conclude it, we will wind up the L&D session. It has been a great learning and enriching knowledge sharing on the L&D front, and I'm sure that great takeaways from the session from the distinguished panelists, and great discussion that we had. I would request Partha to conclude, and I'll end the session now.
First of all, I would like to apologize for creating a mess, if at all I have created any mess, because the scheduled moderator wasn't there for all you guys. So still I managed somehow, and deeply grateful for bearing with me. Same goes with the audience, since I was a last-minute moderator, so I may have made a few errors here and there, but overall, the panelists covered me up completely. So it's a great joy to be moderating a session with such excellent panelists. And today, I have no regrets in saying that if at all there is real-time learning, it is in sessions like these, right? And if a person who's aging like me is able to pick up nuances from all you guys, then you guys are brilliant. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, audience, for listening to us. Hope to see you in the next WFM Summit very soon.
I just want to take 4 minutes.
And
So, and Partha, right? And I've been saying this for all, right? The amount of passion both of you guys bring in conducting this entire forum, right? Bringing all the fraternity together and getting some thought-provoking ideas across all. It's a passion which can only do, right? If I look back 2 to 3 years back, we were not having such kind of a forum. So thank you for bringing us over here, and absolutely, and thanks to all the panel, absolutely good. I enjoyed the entire learning session, right? I personally learned a lot of things, and thank you once again.